Alrighty, yo guys, it's Beast, back with some more beastly content. Today we are going to be doing a guide over how to make the ultimate paralysis shotgun multi-tool. This is a multi-weapon multi-tool, but the first things first, you're going to want to go ahead and unlock all of its slots. So the first things to do is to use your credits first when it comes to buying multi-tool slots. The reason for this is even if you have expansion slot cards, the best thing to do is use all your credits first, because every time you do an upgrade it will cost you a slight bit more money. So on to what we install. So this is a complete and full guide. I'm going to tell you every single thing you should be installing. So the first three things are going to be the survey device, an upgrade for the analysis visor, the combat scope, as well as, of course, the analysis visor itself. These three are just key base items you want to have on your multi-tool so that you don't have to switch to another one just to do common things like scanning the world and things. Very common items to have, but I would definitely have the combat scope. This combat scope is necessary mainly for the shotgun aspect of this paralysis shotgun build. Anyway, the next thing that you might want to install is going to be a terrain editor. Now, I think I might have uninstalled this for a second, but we did end up installing it later. But sometimes I like to build my multi-tools where one of them is for the terrain editor and all the other non-combat things, and then I'll build it as just a combat weapon. However, this one is a bit of a all-in-one. So I also gave it a cloaking device. The next thing you're going to want to do is go to a Criminal Galaxy and buy as many of the suspicious packets for arms and tech. I usually buy the goods too because there are great things in those things, and they're almost like loot boxes, but they're absolutely free and you just have to spend credits on them. Anyway, so the next thing you're going to want to actually do is, I had a pulse spitter here, but you're going to want to open those packets up and see which one you get the most of when it comes to the main base weapons. For this example, we're using the scatter blaster, as we had 5 of the suspicious mods for the scatter blaster. You're going to want to install the shell greaser and the scatter blaster. We will be moving these in a second, and as you can see here, we uninstalled the pulse splitter upgrades we had on here. However, we did end up adding these back later after we had finished the rest of the important items. Also, you can see I stuck my scatter blaster in our first supercharger slot here. This isn't the best supercharger slot array, I am aware of this. However, when it comes to shotguns, 20,000 damage potential is all you're gonna ever need to fight any enemy, especially if you use the paralysis mortar, which for some reason I don't see that many people using. But as you can see here, we now have 3 of these upgrades installed. However, I went ahead and installed every last one of my scatter blaster upgrades. We're then going to be doing a little bit of a comparison with these and seeing which one of these is the best one to keep. You could do this better by just installing them, and if they're bad mods, uninstall them, and maybe not have to use as many mods. However, my method is always just going to be to install them all and then keep the 3 best ones. That's just the best way to do it for me. That way you're not sitting there looking for specific percents or anything else, and you can constantly be upgrading it just by having some open free slots that you can be placing those down in, and then deleting everything except for the 3 best, and also be upgrading your weapon over time. For now, our build is only going to reach what is basically 20,000 damage potential for its shotgun. However, that is okay. As you can see here, some of these were good. I deleted, for these, I don't think I had too much to worry about here. I think we did install just a few more mods after this. But here were the 3 we installed. You're going to want to be putting these in your supercharging slots. Since they're non-adjacent, we're not going to be getting as much, but I did it in an array like this, making it 169. So we moved our final mod to that final supercharger slot. I do believe it's going to show that in just a second. And then also, something else I did was install mining beam mods. I installed 10 of them just to go through and select the best one. Something interesting about this weapon, and something I wanted to make sure and take an effect on, and I actually stuck it inside of a supercharger slot. I'm not sure if I left it in a supercharger slot or not, but we stuck it in a supercharger slot. The reason for this being is because I wanted a good mining gun for things like ferrite or other things you gotta shoot with a laser to mine, and the hijacked laser is a variant of the mining beam, meaning it functions as a mining beam but looks absolutely sweet and goes along with the animation of the gun. And I just figured you might as well pimp out your mining beam when you're building one of these, because you want to be able to use this thing for more than just one thing. I will go ahead and show you at the end of the video how well this thing does on mining ferrite and other various things. We did just try it out on ferrite, but I am very interested in seeing how fast it will mine through some carbon plants. Now, we mainly just started uninstalling the low stat, 1 stat mods. We kept that first one for a little bit, but we will be removing that once we realized there was mods with multi-stats for this one. The main thing we did here was just, if we seen a 1 stat mod, we just uninstall it. This was a 2 stat, this was a 2 stat, but I do believe those ended up going 2. Heat dispersion plus 13, that's only a 1 stat, that's not good. This one right here, it's alright, 1 stat, only 2% fuel efficiency. Get that out of here. There is way better mods to be taking that space up there. And then you see mining speed plus 6 here. Get that out of here. This one were the last two. So mining speed or heat dispersion. I do believe we actually got rid of... Let's see here. Which one did we get rid of, actually? It must have been one of these two. Mining speed or heat dispersion. It was kind of just a Russian roulette. Which one did we get rid of? So we got heat dispersion there. Heat dispersion there, and we got rid of that one. That one sucks. That sucks that we lost that heat dispersion. But it's okay, because that was a high heat dispersion rating. But there was other mods that were just better to be kept. 3 mods is the limit for any sort of thing you're modding here. There is going to be a few more mods to come for this, though. As a matter of fact, for the mining beam. The next thing, though, that I would suggest to install is a personal force field. This can help during combat if you are starting to get a little low on health and you need a shield up, and for some reason your paralysis mortar's out of ammo, even though it just uses like unstable plasma or something. But we'll get on to that in a second. I do see that is now installed. This is what we have installed in the last minute while I was talking. The waveform recycler mod, that is for our scanner. We have a scanner installed. We have I do believe that's the oscillator, which is, and also optical drill is a mining beam mod. Just install these mods I'm showing here. So volaptic amplifier, and then we also have the paralysis mortar. So the paralysis mortar will paralyze your enemies. That is very, very important. We also got some mods installed for the plasma launcher. This would just allow us to make our heavy weapon here. So we also installed the plasma launcher and got some mods for it installed, ensuring us having also a heavy, more of like a grenade-y type weapon we could pull out if we needed to be doing some heavy damage on. I wanted this to be a multi-tool. It was a multi-tool, not just a shotgun. But mainly the key damage points here is going to be that it is a wonderful, wonderful shotgun. But we will go ahead and be removing the rest of these mods. Besides this, I have debated actually on trying out the paralysis mortar in the supercharger slots and seeing if that damage potential will go up. I think I'm realizing now that my paralysis mortar is actually the high damage point of this gun here and not actually the scatter shotgun here. I honestly feel like a missed opportunity was there of just building that thing out, but I will go ahead and test that out. You can move your slots, you can uninstall to inventory mods and things like that. But as you can see here, we also installed some pulse spitter upgrades, and a pulse spitter, of course. Also, advanced mining laser is the final mining beam upgrade. That means our mining beam is at its maximum potential, I do believe. I don't think there's any other mining beam upgrades we did. As for any other upgrades, I'm thinking that should be it. There might be 1 to 2 more things. On to the damage here. This is going to be for the mining beam, and as you can see there, for the normal ferrite, it is lasering it up in less than a second. It's absolutely destroying through it. It also mined the large block of pure ferrite relatively quickly, I would say. It is definitely a good mining beam. Now, Another thing I will mention is that we also got these from the Sentinel battle that is coming up. And the next thing we did was actually go ahead and just locate a Sentinel nest here. This would be allowing us to actually go do some combat. And when we actually got to the combat, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all see what's going on here. The damage from this thing is phenomenal. I'll also mention that the Paralysis Mortar makes handling larger enemies extremely easy. I'm not sure why some people are out here recommending that just build a shotgun with no paralysis or anything like that, or no combat scope, because one, combat scope makes a shotgun way easier to use in this game. If you have not used the combat scope before on your shotgun, it will make a world of difference in this game, especially if you're on controller. If you're on keyboard and mouse, I could understand not using one, but I highly suggest installing it anyway, because even on keyboard and mouse, I love me a combat scope. I'm not a CSGO player, so I'm going to use a combat scope. However, one of the other alternate modes we had was a Paralysis Mortar, which will allow us to paralyze our enemies. We also have a mod on there that is actually going to be upgrading the damage for paralysis. I will also mention that the Pulse Spitter we installed is still no chump. It has the proper upgrades to still be able to handle clearing through some enemies relatively quickly. It shoots basically what is just bursts of acid through the sky that just absolutely eats through any Sentinel enemy. Very good. But I do believe, guys, this is gonna be the end of the video, guys. This has been the ultimate paralysis shotgun. We're not doing nothing crazy like 4 supercharger slots where you have to go to a very specific galaxy and you gotta find all the glyphs and whatever. Okay, look, if you got a gun you like, use it. It's going to get 4 supercharger slots. They do not have to be adjacent for you to be doing plenty of damage. But I do believe we're going to be out, guys, now. Go ahead and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, like I said, and keep it beast mode.